project?
My name's Xander Copp, and my project is Carter. It's a short film. It's based on an H.P. Lovecraft short story.
Cool. So what made you want to recreate that into a short film?
It was honestly my DP who found the short story. He sent it to me a while ago now, and I read the short story, and I was like, this seems really fun. This is like a really great sandbox to play in. And right from the get-go, I was like, I think I want to build a cemetery to do this.
You built it, because I was going to ask where you guys shot at. I was like, where is this?
So we built a cemetery from scratch, and his
that's crazy.
he lived like 2 hours north of Toronto. His parents still lived in his childhood home, and his front yard has like really large property and old trees, and so we were like, okay, this could work as long as we deny the house and shoot in one direction. So we spent a few weeks building like a bunch of tombstones from scratch, and so that was really fun.
So you built the cemetery. How did you do the downstairs thing when they go kind of underground?
So that was like a set that we built in studio. And so we built like a 2-foot crypt on set.
That makes sense.
So that was like the opening.
Awesome.
And so we had like them like lifting the crypt stone, and everything was done on location. And then we kind of picked our shots that we were going to have like matching plates, and just kind of slapping the location footage that we had with the studio footage. So it was a lot of math, a lot of measurements, and a lot of post.
A lot of post and a lot of art production.
Totally. So all those elements came together, and it was definitely a journey at all of its stages. But
worth it though. Amazing film, beautifully done.
Thank you.
I could tell that I was like, what? I need to know where this is at. So keep that cemetery in mind for future film shoots, because it's awesome. Congratulations on the success of the film, and enjoy the festival. We hope to see more from you in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Enjoy.
The Grand Jury Award for Best Short Film, Carter. And this is producer-director Xander Copp. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So much. Pleased to see you. Okay. All right. Same question for you. Where did this begin?
So it's an adaptation of an H.P. Lovecraft short story. So it started with that short story.
Okay.
And my DP found it. A bunch of Lovecraft's work had just become public domain. And he sent it to me, and I was like, this is great. Passed it on to a couple friends of mine who are writers, and like, do you guys want to take a crack at this as an adaptation? And did a few rounds of edits and submitted it to funding. And kind of like found the personal angle once we kind of got the ball rolling on it, and then once we had funding, it was just like, okay, how do we make this happen?
And what was it about this specific short from H.P. Lovecraft that stood out to you, or was this something that the writers had chosen?
It was the short itself. Like my DP, I think initially was like, this is just going to be a really cinematic.
I see. Okay.
Like concept, and I saw it right out of the gate in that respect. I think it took a little bit to kind of find the personal angle, and for a creative like jumping off point for me was grief. And that wasn't necessarily foregrounded in the short story. We kind of had to tease that out through the writing of it, and in our adaptation, our interpretation of why these characters were in a cemetery and why they're like digging up this crypt, and then finding like the personal entry point with grief of like two characters who are desperately searching and lost and like obsessed with grief, and like with Warren kind of going into the crypt kind of being like a metaphor for sinking into like the pit of grief. For me and the actors, I think was really helpful to kind of take it one step deeper than what on the surface, and for I think a lot of viewers is just like a fun horror thriller.
Right. No, you have to have something like that behind to inspire the passion.
Sure.
You mentioned you built these sets. Can you explain what that process is like for maybe some of the filmmakers here who haven't had the privilege to do that?
It's tough. It requires a lot of prep, a lot of favors, and just like the methodology was just like, okay, let's build the tombstones first, and well, that's not. We had to find the location, which our like DP, his childhood home had a like very large front yard, and we just kind of like right out of the gate we're like, okay, can we shoot in a way to deny the house? And that was really helpful just because like having a house close to the set when you're doing night shoots is really nice for actors and the crew to just have a warm-up space. And that's like tricky with like if you were to do a practical cemetery. But then yeah, it was like a few weeks of prep of like building these tombstones on a budget with like a really dedicated art team and like finding people to like do favors and to work within like a small budget was really helpful. But yeah, we called in all the favors. You know, I was doing some of the woodworking and building myself, you know, getting right in there with the art team. But yeah, it's like find the right people, find the people, like our production designer did a great job. She like built tombstones before, so she kind of knew the starting point there, and then it was just kind of like placing the tombstones to camera during the day, getting ready for the night shoot to like kind of fill out the vision. But you know, so much of it is you have to stay on your toes through the whole thing, for sure.
And did you look to any other adaptations of H.P. Lovecraft for any kind of inspiration?
There's like a few out there, and I know that there's a couple in Guillermo del Toro's
Right.
anthology series that were really great. So that's helpful, and kind of establishing tone and like the whole cosmic horror genre is like all like Lovecraft. So just kind of just to establish the look and the feel of something otherworldly, but not necessarily like alien, just kind of like the unknown. And like that was definitely something that I wanted to, like a theme of the unknown and the unknown of death and the afterlife, kind of all being, trying to encapsulate that visually as kind of an idea, was definitely something I pulled from his work and from other adaptations.
Interesting. And last question from me. Cosmic horror, in order to sell that genre, it really relies a lot on not just your score, but also your sound design. Can you tell me what it was like working with your composer and your sound designers?
Really great experience with both of them. I'd worked with my sound designer before on my first short, so I knew that he was gonna, knock it out of the park in terms of cleaning up the mix and just like having a really solid just working relationship with him from the past. And then our composer really was like, it took a while to find her, just because it was like a recommendation from a recommendation kind of thing. But like once I started listening to her demos, I was like, oh man, she's great. She's perfect for this project. She does like ethereal vocals, and she's like a horror composer. And so like a lot of the weird sounds that you hear are just like her recording into a mic using kind of like muffled, I don't know exactly how she does it, but like that was her vocals within the mix, and so
EQ'd heavily, of course.
yeah, totally. But yeah, I thought it added such an interesting kind of supernatural, eerie element to the film. Both the sound design and the score are so integral to that experience.
Yeah, well, they really help sell it. They really,
For
really
sure.
help sell it.
And I do have to give a shout out to the editor as well, because
They lay down the bones first.
for sure, and like a lot of he sourced a lot of the sound effects that ended up in the final mix. Like we were like, maybe I was like, go nuts, find whatever you can, and so many of those temp elements landed in the final mix, and like so much of the score was built from a temp score that he found. So it was like having that as a starting point was also really awesome.
Very strong.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll open it up over here to see if there's anybody with any questions. Please.
Can you talk a little bit about how the transition from short story to screenplay? Like, did you feel like you had to make any sacrifices? How did you adapt it?
Yeah, so we did, right out of the gate, I think, I just made the decision, the first draft of the script came through, and if you're familiar with the short story, it's kind of like an unreliable narrator type of story where Carter is in like a hospital being interviewed by the police because his like mentor has disappeared. And so we just like, the first draft of the script, there was a scene in the hospital, and just for practical reasons, I was like, I just don't think that we can like do this. Like, like we're already biting off so much with the cemetery. Like, let's find the angle just telling the story here. And so like, there's a lot of interesting stuff that we like sacrifice for like, because of that, because it's like, it is a mystery of like, you know, did something else nefarious happen in the cemetery, and like this is all being told, like the original short story is the Statement of Randolph Carter. So we had to come at it from a different angle, and just kind of returning back to what I said earlier, like it was like the theme of grief that I think allowed us to kind of, was our creative like North Star of like, that's what will make this unique and distinct. And I think like the second or third draft, we're like, let's make Warren a woman. This is like, this story will be more interesting and feel more modern with her being a woman versus a man. So that's another change that we made. That I actually don't think we sacrificed anything with that. I think right from like the get-go, it like we read it through and it was like, we didn't even change the name, and it just like, it became more interesting immediately for all of us.
Any other questions? Question here?
You talked about sound design and score as a way of setting tone. I feel like also with sort of like mystical historical fiction, props are really key to like the story you're telling. Could you just talk about like what it was like with the telephone thing, some of the lanterns, like those hero props, and like
sourcing those maybe? And
Yeah, I mean the prop rental house scene in Toronto was great. So just being able to like walk through the hoarder's paradise of like those prop houses is really cool. And so finding the lanterns was super easy. The telephone wide receiver was really tough because that's like just a custom prop. So fortunately, where we shot was in near a small town. It was an even smaller town, but it's near a small town called Barrie. And Barrie just happens to be like the antique capital of Canada for some reason. So we like sourced one from Kijiji and then luckily found the exact matching one at like an antique shop in Barrie. So that was just like really lucky. And then we just kind of like spray painted them gold, aged them a little bit, and they worked out great. Because yeah, I knew that like that prop specifically was just so key, just in terms of the look, but also just like the like theme, and something that I just think is just really unique about this short, of like communicating to the underworld using like technology, and even like it being a period piece, like technology still kind of being this weird thing it's testing like, you know, the limits of what we even should as humans kind of be exploring, and are we messing with something that is like should remain kind of unknown.
Great. Well, round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.